Welcome back. I'm Devlin. This is Shadow, and we're on Einhorn Sook and Stubbsdale Dog Care Center. So, guess what? We're gonna have a dog talk and walk today. So, Shadow, you ready? Let's go for a walk. By the way, you don't want to take your dogs off leash in public until you get them to come back just about 100% of the time. And of course, use your casual walk to teach your dog to come back frequently. So often you're going to see me call Shadow back to me. Today I'm using, I guess you could kind of say a toy or play drive. This is more of a kind of a tug toy to build prey drive. But you could use a treat or a reward to call your dog back to you. Let's go. Good job. All right. And you teach your dog to come back to you often so that one of these days when we drop the leash or take the leash off, Shadow, let's go. They're accustomed to coming on back. Good job. All right, so dogs were dogs are dogs. People say dogs are descended from wolves, but that's not quite exactly how it happens. Dogs and wolves are descended from a common ancestor in Eurasia, Africa, and India. And what's interesting is their domestication happens separately in different locations, and it's not conclusive whether or not it's strictly from dogs wandering into human habitation and realizing a symbiotic relationship where they get food from us because in our encampments we have scrap food, or if there's a hunting relationship, something a little bit more um, kind of develop where we follow dogs in order to find game or something, or they follow us to eat leftover of the hunting. So there's a big discussion in terms of the origin of domestication of dogs and humans. But we do know that between 12,000 and 16,000 BCE, this occurred. So interestingly enough, dog domestication occurred in separate places. Well, scientists are speculating, was it separate? There was a DNA study conducted that gave more insight into the domestication of dogs and how it was shaped in terms of in line with human history. And some scholars are actually turning to mythology to look at stories of indigenous persons or indigenous people to get a story of how to piece together the domestication of dogs, because it's still not clear. But nonetheless, the time period would be from about 12,000 BCE to 16,500 BCE of when dogs were domesticated and they split off from a proto dog species. And so there are a couple of things to think about when we want to understand how the dog's mind works, or dog behavioral psychology, and how we relate to wanting to condition dogs. And dogs have what's called drives. Dogs have temperament, and dogs have what's called nerves. And drives are what causes dogs to decide to act. What encourages or motivates action. And dogs have drives such as play drive, defensive drive, prey drive, uh, alpha drive, which in alpha drive, interestingly enough, could be a little bit controversial because the gentleman that came up with alpha dogs, or the concept of an alpha dog, has recanted his I guess his study, because what happened was, and I'm going to get back to the different types of drives as well, but just to touch on alpha dogs and the concept, because in the human world we have big discussions about alpha male, alpha female, and it all stems from this concept. And so the what happened was they did a study and they put a bunch of dogs together in order to see how they interact together in terms of hierarchy. And it appeared that the more aggressive, dominant dogs were the ones that would take leadership, and and I guess the more submissive, the weaker dogs wouldn't survive as well. But what they found out was in the study, they made a slight error. They put a lot of dogs together that weren't from the same family. And so what ended up happening is they started to figure out their hierarchy in that way that was observed, which would be a lot of aggression, uh, fighting, dominance, that sort of thing. But when they actually studied dogs a little bit more intricately in their environment, they realized that dogs of the same family, they actually don't use the concept of alpha dog or aggressive, dominant and the toughest one wins. They form bonds or hierarchy based on uh, age and seniority. And so the older dogs um, would have more dominance in the pack. And so that's just very interesting. That's something that human beings have we kind of ran with it. Um, isn't even the case. And so back to drive. So dogs have, a parental drive. As I said before, defensive, predatory, play drive, and we use these drives to um, to help us with training, and we work on specific ones at specific times in different ways. Now dogs have nerves, and nerves kind of indicate our dog's ability to handle stress or handle difficult situations or challenges, or be social, and how they manage social situations. So, for example, a weak nerve dog responds aggressively or responds with shyness or skittishness. Because a weak nerve dog is either that side of the coin where it's too much aggression, or it's on the other side of the coin where it's not enough confidence. And then we have temperament. And temperament is kind of like personality in humans. Dogs have, all breeds have a certain temperament, and then each individual dog, if you own dogs, you know that although they might both be Labradors, the two different dogs they have different temperaments, or in our case, humans, we'd say personality. And so this is really cool stuff. And understanding your dog comes with knowing a little bit more about behavioral psychology. So thanks again for watching. I'm Devlin, and this is Shadow, and you're on Einhorn Sucht and Stubbsdale Dog Care Center. And don't forget, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, uh, and on pretty much TikTok and all of the social media platforms. Blessings. So if you learned something today, like, share, subscribe, Einhorn Sucht and Stubbsdale Dog Care Center. Thank you.